Welcome to ADHD Whiskey. My name is Matt. Today we are tasting and reviewing a brand new or relatively new release from the Wild Turkey Distillery. Today we are reviewing their oldest release since the 17-year Wild Turkey Bottled and Bond, if that's accurate. Pretty sure that's accurate. Today we're diving deep into Russell's Reserve 15-year. America. Last year I was able to grab the single Rickhouse Camp Nelson F limited release via their email delivered online retail system. I was lucky to get one of those online, and that was the most expensive bottle of bourbon I ever purchased at like $330 plus tax. This year Wild Turkey tried to release the Russell's 15 in the same manner, and it did not matter to me because all I could do was not to buy the bottle online. I tried. Me, like many of you, sat on the website trying to check out. We had a bottle in our cart if we were lucky, and we just kept clicking checkout, 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 checkout. The first release I clicked checkout for about 47 minutes and I was unsuccessful. Then they tried to do it again, but this time the same thing happened. So I thought that I was not going to be able to get a Russell's Reserve 15 this year. But then little old me stumbled into a little old store right down the street from here. And this bad boy sat by itself behind the counter. I just told them I was looking to see if they got any new bourbons in this week. And they said we got one allocation of this. And I was like, how much? $3.16 plus tax later, I had myself a glass bottle of liquid, which is way too much for a bottle of liquid. But since this is what I do for a living, I figured one bottle of $300 plus bourbon every year isn't bad. So this is the second most expensive bottle of bourbon I've ever purchased. Number 1 and number 2 are both Wild Turkey products, which seems weird because Wild Turkey is one of those budget brands that college kids just get shit-faced on, right? Times they are a-changin'. Times they are a-changin'. Anyway, this Russell's Reserve 15 is what we're tasting today. This exquisitely aged bourbon is the culmination of 15 years of perfected maturation during that extended aging in barrel. It endured frigid winter nights and intense Kentucky summers to develop layers of oak and vanilla. Like the iconic Russell family members that made it, this whiskey has a lifetime of experience and a rich story to tell. Russell's Reserve Kentucky Straight Bourbon Whiskey, 15 years old. It's the 2024 limited release, it says there in gold foil, and it's non-chill filtered. This Lawrenceburg, Kentucky product rings in at 117.2 proof and is in the running for many reviewers' whiskey of the year. Although it is early. It is early. It's just summertime, bitches. Settle down. Settle down. Now that I've bored you with a story that you've already lived through and a label reading that you probably could have done without, let's get into this whiskey and find out what it's all about. The color on it is extra dark. Extra dark, that color. It is, that is dark. Good friggin' grief. Wow. On my most recent live stream, I did a blind tasting, Russell's 15 versus Russell's 13 versus Master's Keep Generations versus single Rickhouse Camp Nelson F versus Wild Turkey 17-year Bottled and Bond. And the only whiskey that this did not feat in that blind flight was the 17-year Bottled and Bond. Was it close? Yes. But now that I go back to the nose all by itself in a garage ever so quiet in the middle of the night, I can't believe that this whiskey lost that flight. This smells so good. This smells like a medicinal cherry. I get a lot of Luden's cough drops on many extra aged Wild Turkey products, this being no exception, but this glass is like that Luden's cherry throat lozenge if it were mixed with a grape Jolly Rancher. It is red fruits and dark fruits just boiled down into a sludge. An oaky, fruity, concentrated sludge. The ethanol is not overwhelming at all, even though it is ringing in at 117 proof. The nose of these extra aged Wild Turkey products, they're very hard to beat. They're some of the absolute best smelling bourbon that you can ever imagine, even if you have a wild imagination. This smells like a corset made out of fruit leather. Russell's 15, down the hatch. Wow. Yeah. That's awesome. That is awesome. Those dark boiled down fruits wake up as soon as the bourbon hits the palate. It's an explosion, a detonation of purple and red fruits on the front of the palate. And then as the whiskey works its way back to the dangly punching bag in the back of your throat, an extra dark barrel char and oak profile develops in the mid palate, and then it gets darker and more mysterious as it reaches the back of the palate. I do believe that it was a bit drying on first sip, but as I continue to explore what's in this glass, we'll see if that drying effect lingers around or if that goes away, as this is my first sip of whiskey for the day. Apparently I'm just rhyming without even wanting to anymore. Second sip. Second sip, the fruit lingered around a bit more and the oak hesitated a little bit before it really took over the palate. This is a very oily bourbon, a very oily whiskey that coats every part of the mouth, and that viscosity is what helps that finish linger around a lot longer. It finds every dip and valley inside of the mouth and just seeks lower ground. So that flavor, that everlasting, super oaky, super cherry, grapey, fruit leather flavor just lingers and lingers and lingers. The finish is remarkable. Am I recording? I don't remember pressing record. Third sip and the enjoyment continues. The 17 bottled and bond came out on top because it was the most complex pour of the bunch. But having this tonight, this sip on this evening, the complexity of the 15 year is also a delight. It takes you on a bit of a journey, kind of takes your mind off of the other things going on. It's like a self-driving car that you just got and you're not quite sure if you can put all of your trust into it, but it literally slaps you across the face and pushes you into the back seat and says, bitch, buckle up. I'm in a no turn lane and making a left turn because this is my car, my rules. That's the approach this bourbon takes once it hits your palate. It doesn't want to hear what you have going on. All it wants to do is tell you about itself. This truly is a special pour, and I'm glad I let the bottle get some air before I did this official review. I feel like I've given it the opportunity to develop into the best version of itself. Kind of like you were browsing that website, Plenty of Cupids, or whatever it's called, and you met someone who you thought might be the one. Then they get on an airplane and fly across the world to meet you. They deboard the plane in a strange country, and you lock eyes in the terminal. But that first day and that first night shouldn't be the time that you really evaluate things. You need to let Lobster Lover 64118 get acclimated to the new time zone, let the jet lag go away, and open up a little bit. Let him rest a little bit. Just like I gave this bottle of Russell's 15 some air and some time. It's only fair. It's only fair. Wow, Project Pat. The scores on this pour are headed north-north. Man, I love that. That is so good. That final sip, this really delicious vanilla started to develop on it. Am I happy that I paid over $300 for a bottle of whiskey? No, that is not a smart purchase. Am I happy that the bottle that I spent that ridiculous amount of money on is absolutely fantastic? Yes. Thank the good Lord above. Actually, you know what? We'll save thanking the good Lord above for things that are more important. But thank the Fred Minnick above. Thank the Fred Minnick above that I did not waste $338, I think, after tax on a bottle of whiskey that made me unhappy. Because that would suck. Instead, we have an expensive whiskey that tastes like an expensive whiskey. And I feel that this Russell's 15 deserves an absolutely amazing score. 9.0. a 9.0 for Russell's Reserve 15-year 2024 limited edition. Will this be Bourbon of the Year or Whiskey of the Year for me in 2024? Well, it is the best thing that I've purchased in 2024. It's the best bottle that I have acquired this year, and it's gonna be hard to beat. It's gonna be hard to beat. Truthfully, I hope that it is not Bourbon of the Year. I hope to get my hands on several other bottles that somehow manage to give it like a left hook and then like an overhand right and knock this bottle out of the top 3. That would be amazing to me because this bottle is so fantastic. There's a lot of hype around Russell's 15 and I think it's to be deserved. It's a phenomenal bottle, and if you run across one for a price that you're willing to pay for one, I say go for it. But just like any other purchase, don't spend more than you can afford. Do as I say, not as I do. That's gonna do it for this review. Thank you so much for watching. Subscribe if you're not subscribed. Hit the thumbs up if you haven't. Leave a comment down below. It's August 2024. We're 8/12ths of the way through the year. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 2, 4, 6, 8. That's 4/6. Or we can reduce that down into 2/3. Is that right?
8/12.
4/6 or 2/3. Yeah, we're 2/3 of the way through the year according to my math. Let me know in the comments below. What's your whiskey of the year so far? What's your favorite pour so far of 2024? My name is Matt. This is ADHD Whiskey, like I always say. Keep your head in the clouds, but your mind on joining as many bowling leagues as you can. Get yourself out there, you shy son of a bitch. Be socially awkward in front of strangers while you roll 15-pound balls down a wooden hallway, hoping to knock down 10 pins over and over again. Will they try to high-five you and you give them a fist bump instead? Yeah, a lot of the time. Will you feel uncomfortable when you turn around and look at those people after you roll the ball every time? Yeah. Will you gain 60 pounds from eating bowling alley french fries and pizza? I've heard of it happening. Locally, actually. But will you enjoy the rush of bowling? Will you challenge yourself to a sport like no other? Will you get addicted and obsessed with urethane and reactive and pearl cover stocks and solid cover stocks and hybrid cover stocks? Will you obsess about symmetrical and asymmetrical cores? Will you stay awake all night wondering if a high RG ball is right for you? Will you learn your rev rate, axis tilt, and PAP? Will you sleep with the pro shop owner just so he drills your balls for free? All things you'll never know unless you join a bowling league or 4. I love bowling.